Good evening, everybody. Hell's Unicorn here once again, and I'm just going to make one last video concerning yesterday's Republican debate on CNN. I've been a little bit out of the loop today in terms of the developments because basically I've been busy all day with work and I've just now gotten onto the internet, and man, I tell you, if I had seen what everybody else was seeing last night and tonight on CNN, I would have been even more angry with the TJ Walker thing than I actually was, if you can believe it. CNN is not a real news network, and I was leaning towards this opinion previously, but now it's pretty much a done deal. CNN is fake. CNN basically had a poll going on who was winning the debate on their website. And Ron Paul was winning the poll by ridiculous margins. I mean, we're talking thousands of votes. I mean, his percentage rating was like 79%. Everybody else was way behind in single digits. But this poll didn't get used, obviously. Instead, they took some really obscure poll from some place I've never heard of called National Journal. This poll consisted of 54 Republican votes and 41 Democrat votes. Frankly, I don't know how the hell those kinds of numbers can mean anything at all. I mean, what kind of sample is that? Is it a sample of likely New Hampshire voters? Doesn't say. Doesn't really say who these people are. I mean, for all I know, these people could be lobbyists. I don't know what the connection is between National Journal and CNN, but apparently CNN thought it was necessary to air this particular poll and aired the percentages but not the number of people who voted in it. I don't think we even got a margin of error on this stupid thing. Doesn't look scientific to me. Matter of fact, it looks downright fake. Ladies and gentlemen, I've often given Fox News a good amount of grief for the way that they treat Ron Paul, but CNN is even worse now. I didn't think it was possible, but they are. I keep going back and forth on which mainstream media outlet is worse, and really I shouldn't be doing that, because it's like comparing bullshit, cow shit, and pig shit. Different animals, but at the end of the day, it's all shit. It stinks, it's squishy, and it doesn't get you much of anything except for maybe drawing some flies. I'm convinced that in order for Ron Paul to actually win the election, the entire mainstream media is going to have to be supplanted somehow. I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but it's going to happen. I'm going to be a poll worker during the next election, and I'm going to be watching the votes in my particular precinct very closely. And I am going to make an assumption here in Pennsylvania that all of the other rural to suburban districts are going to be voting the same. And if I see a massive discrepancy in the primary, I'm going to raise holy hell about it. I am going to make an inquiry about it. I am going to submit an official challenge and demand a recount, however I can do it. I'm not tolerating this crap. We have news organizations, corporately run, that have a vested interest in making sure that we have a fascist corporatist government so they can continue to make bank while the rest of us barely scrape by. And we have crooked people probably in most of the major voting centers, probably not properly counting votes. Pennsylvania is a closed primary, but my conversations with people in my locality lead me to believe that Ron Paul has a very good shot at winning my precinct. And my precinct is pretty representative of most of Pennsylvania outside of the loon bags in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. This is where the real people of Pennsylvania live. These were the people that got Pat Toomey elected in spite of very strong opposition from those two major cities. I like to complain that the cities run the states, but the truth is they only run the states when not enough people outside of the cities are voting. So to sum this all up, I've provided two links in the description. One to the fake National Journal poll that CNN put up on their broadcast today to downplay Paul and to make Romney look good, even though he looked like absolute shit last night. The other is a poll taken from the Ron Paul 2012 website. Now, you might say that the Ron Paul website one is biased. I would argue it's no more biased than the National Journal one. Neither one of them is scientific, and in the case of the Ron Paul one, however, we had a much higher turnout. Closer to 10,000 people, as opposed to barely 100. Think about it. With prudence to myself and benevolence to all of you, good evening.